Mr. Mohamad Faiz Selamat. Thank you. Welcome, Faiz. Good morning.
Good morning, Fisher. Good to be here.
Good morning. Very nice to see you again. Okay, great. So before we start, let me do a very short introduction of you to our audience. So, Faiz is a director of sustainable growth at ground up solution. He is also the director of Acies innovations. He has also two additional roles, which is quite interesting and valuable. One is the vice president of Knowledge Management Society in Singapore side. The other is he also holds another role called the vice chairman of Knowledge Management Global Network. This is a global network. So far, sorry for that. This is a global organization. They have around roughly around 10,000 members. As far as I know, it's a great network for that. This global network purely engaged in knowledge management. They share a lot of things and so on. This is a very valuable network. I would really encourage everyone, if you want to know more about knowledge management, maybe better to join this as well. So Faiz also has more than 10 years experience in knowledge management, especially in facilitating and implementing programs, in delivering all these kind of programs with either with the corporate side or with non-government organizations or even public agencies. So he has been doing a lot of work in transferring the knowledges to the next generations. He has done a lot. So today we are going to invite Faiz to give us the sharing from old to gold, optimize the value of older workers. That's something because I think actually from these 2 days forum, majority of our speakers are becoming in the aged populations, aged group, but they are very, very valuable to this society. And then that's just one kind of representative from this, the whole group. I think first the topic today will give us the new window, new view on how to transmit this old to gold. Okay, let's welcome Faiz. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fisher, for having me here. Let me just take over the screen for a while. All right. Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. I'm just so happy to be here with everyone here. I'm truly honored to be invited to speak at the BOW Forum of the first Global Organization Tested Knowledge Management Forum. And today, I will be speaking about from old to gold, how to optimize value of older workers, right? And gold actually holds value across many cultures, from the eastern shores of China to the western ends of Europe and America, right? And gold has been traded by mankind for centuries, and countless battles, wars have been fought to claim ownership of this valuable asset. But in today's world, assets of value extends beyond just the financial or physical goal. A knowledge-based economy and society identifies knowledge itself as an asset because of its ability to transform organizations, businesses, and lives. And so today's topic will be about how older workers can be a golden asset to any organization, given their tacit knowledge of the business across operations, processes, stakeholders, and customers. Oh, sorry, stop here. Ooh. Okay, give me a minute. Is that okay? Current slide. All right.
You can just share the window, yeah.
Do you give me a minute? Is this okay right now? Fisher?
You didn't share the window. You didn't share, you can share the share screen.
Okay, give me a
You
minute.
share the screen, yeah. You share the screen, yeah.
Share screen. Screen. All right. Okay, can you see properly right now, Fisher?
Wonderful. Yes. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So today's topic will be how older workers can be a golden asset to an organization, given that their tacit knowledge of the business across operations, processes, stakeholders, and customers. Okay, so a bit about myself. I thank you, Fisher, for sharing me a bit about me. My name is Faiz. I am the vice chair for KMGN, Knowledge Management Global Network, which represents 25 different countries, 25 networks across the world, right? And next year, I'll be taking over from Warrior as the chair, and I look forward to getting more people involved in KMGN in the next year. As you mentioned also, I'm also the director of Acies Innovations as well as Ground Up Solutions. And while I'm not an academic in the world of KM, I identify myself as a practitioner, right? As someone who believes in the importance of leveraging on knowledge. I had the opportunity to speak at various international conferences on topics such as knowledge management, non-profit management, learning solutions. And most recently in October this year, I actually led a global virtual hackathon, right, which brought together KM professionals from over 30 countries, right? So it's been a great journey for this past year. My experience in management consulting actually led me to gather insight on the value of tacit knowledge in organizations, especially with those with organizations with staff which have been with companies for more than 10 years, because they have the experience and the knowledge of how things operate, and then they can add on value, things which may not be naturally captured explicitly in documents and processes and so on, right? I have seen organizations simply ignore older staff, thinking that they're outdated, thinking they're obsolete, right? And I've also seen organizations that embrace the experience of older staff being mentors, being able to support the younger staff, right? In terms of complementing their wisdom with the energy and creativity of the younger generation. So my personal take is that the diversity of older and younger views, right, can lead to more robust ideations and creative solutions. But of course, conditions need to be set for this to happen, right? So that's what I will be talking about today, right? Going back to November, I think during the webinars on organization tacit knowledge, I actually shared about facilitating circularity of tacit knowledge management in an organization. And I also shared that this is important as a natural human behavior is to socialize. People want to meet others, right? People want to engage and to interact with each other. And therefore, we need to create opportunities for people to share their experience and expertise, right? Expertise, both together, right? This could then lead to more constructive interactions that enable the creation of relevant and useful solutions for the organization. So this was in November, right? And from this November session, I shared 3 ideas on how to facilitate circularity of tacit knowledge management in an organization. They are: 1, to foster collaborative culture, have a culture which allows people to be open to collaborate, right? That's 1. The second thing is to develop functional collaborative spaces, right? And this space can be physical, like a pantry, or virtual, like a chat room, or any space that helps people collaborate effectively, right? And the third point was to hire older workers, right? Interestingly, the idea of hiring older workers attracted the most attention amongst participants during the webinar and even comments post-webinar. Hence, that made me decide to speak further on optimizing the value of older workers. This is based on demand, right? And so I thought maybe older workers, while they are always goal, I think not everything is automatically goal. So we need to find ways to optimize the value of older workers in an organization. And if For the benefit of those who missed the webinar last month, okay, allow me to elaborate my point a bit on hiring older workers. This is directly from the slides that I had last month. First of all, I believe hiring older workers could maximize team output as it increases cognitive diversity by getting people of different ages and experiences working together. And some ideas on how to implement this are as follows. One is to give older people titles and roles, right? Things like supervisory mentor roles that allow them to contribute their experience or their expertise. Because you need to shape it accordingly so that they are not seen to be someone who dominates, but someone who provides advice, right? And then their advice is valuable. The second point is to incorporate age diversity into DEI programs. DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Because it's been shown that age diversity tend to feel more safe. They have psychological safety. And then like they kind of feel, okay, I have the wisdom of the old and I have the energy and the creativity of the young, right? And they work better, they are more innovative, and then they feel safe moving forward, right? The third point is develop returnship programs, or AKA it's like internship, right? When internship, we get students coming out of universities, fresh graduates, they come in, they get to know the organization and contribute. On the reverse, returnship is you invite older workers to come back from retirement, and it's basically similar to that. If you've seen the movie Intern, it talks about an older worker who comes back to an organization. While he may not be as fast or as techie, being able to use computers and so on, he is able to share his experience of handling things. And moving on to sharing a bit more, like what Art Murray said about the softer side, the soft skills part of it, which tendency a lot of people in the new generation are not as strong, right? And the lastly is to educate younger leaders. It's not just about older workers. We need to look at the younger leaders, right? On how to do reverse mentoring. No, so it's not just mentoring older to young, but young to old. And how can they help manage older workers better, right? So I will be sharing in the next few slides some use cases on what these ideas mean. All right. Okay, so basically there are 4 use case examples I'll be talking about. Under mentor roles, I'll be talking a bit more about mentoring SG, right? Mentoring SG is a movement in Singapore that looks at the culture of mentoring. So I'll be elaborating a bit on that, on how mentor roles can be developed, right? Next part is basically age diversity for security and innovation. I'll be talking about the 10 advantages of retaining and hiring older workers, right? And on the last part, the third part, returnship, we're talking about the top 10 global alumni programs, right? And last one is the reverse mentoring in terms of how does this reverse mentoring work? And then there's an article, an example of how older workers and younger workers learn from each other and what can they learn from each other. All right. So basically, these are the 4 use case examples that we're talking about in a short while, right? Okay, first of all, right, I'd like to share that formally establishing mentor roles is crucial because it ensures experiences of the workers augment the creativity and energy of the younger workers. Because if you do not do this, you don't formally establish these roles, right? Then there could be some confusion, in terms of whose rights, whose roles, whose responsibilities, whose accountability. All right. And so I'm using this example that was recently launched in Singapore, right? It's called Mentoring SG. It's a national movement in Singapore that aims to build a culture of mentoring in Singapore and make mentoring accessible for youth, right? And youth in Singapore, they define it between the age of 18 to 40. So I just passed the youth mark, right? Whilst this framework of mentoring SG it is youth-centric, many of the principles, formats, and resources could be referenced in terms of how can we build a large-scale mentoring network. And this includes setting the stage for both mentor and mentee to understand, right, their respective roles and responsibilities, right? And so mentoring, if you think about it, is it formal? Is it informal? It can be both. It can be formal. It can be informal, right? Formal mentoring is usually more structured. There's a specific agenda. This is what mentoring is about. There's a program, what you have to do, and usually followed by a schedule of meetings. Like you have to do formal meetings every month or every quarter and so on. Informal mentoring, on the other hand, it also happens, but it's like similar to drinking tea together or having water cooler conversations, right? Where basically it's very opportunistic, right? In terms of, no, by the way, what you shared earlier on, that was very good. No, my own experience, I have done something like this. No, you might want to hear about it. So it's very opportunistic as compared to the formal one. It's a bit more focused on goal settings and moving away, right? And I would like to share some statistics on mentoring research as follows. In the research, right, 97% of people with mentors say mentors are valuable, right? However, only 37% of professionals actually have a mentor. So there is actually a lot more room, right? So there's another 63% who do not have a mentor, which we can work on it, right? And 89% of mentees will go on to mentor others, means they learn from it. So that means there is a pullover effect. So imagine, right, if we can get the 63% of professionals who do not have mentors to have mentors, it could be a cyclical effect, right? It could be circularity of it happens, and then it keeps mentoring going on and on and on. And therefore, that's important that you establish mentor roles within an organization. So you can go to the website and mentoring.sg, and they have different tips in terms of how to start a mentoring program. So just sharing this resource with everyone. All right. The second point of it is age diversity, right? Actually, facilitating age diversity in the workforce is quite challenging. Any manager would tell you that, right? Especially if your organization has certain established practices that supports age bias. Like for example, younger workers tend to be inexperienced. They just jump around. They won't stay. Or older workers are slow and unable to change, right? So these are examples of age bias. Like old people cannot change their ways, slow to adapt to technology. Therefore, they get roles which are very simple, old tech, right? Whereas young people are rash, right? And then therefore, what organizations do, they create a lot of red tape and process to make sure that they manage the risk of these young people. However, I feel that if age diversity is done well, it can bring about a sense of security and lead to more effective innovation, right? And these are the 4 examples, right? Of advantages of retaining and hiring older workers based in New York City, small businesses, right? And amongst the 10, 2 of them directly relate to organization tacit knowledge management. The first one here, number 4, right, is to retain business knowledge and networks, right? Through their own work experience, right? Older workers tend to accumulate massive amounts of tacit knowledge, right? Unfortunately, the conversion of such tacit knowledge into documents or reference material is labor intensive. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of resources, and actually might lead to some waste because some of knowledge capture is not used. So it's very hard to make sure that more of the knowledge is used because you don't know what you need, right? So having older workers ensures that the critical knowledge, things that you need, remain accessible. And the word is accessible, right? That means as you need, you can call them, you can ask them, right? And they can help you contextualize it some more, right? In terms of the use in different settings, because they would have the experience. Yes, I have knowledge A, knowledge B, but in this context, knowledge B is more effective. So they are able to give you that level of information or knowledge to that, right? The next part on is point 7, right? In terms of training the next generation of workers. Based on the 70-20-10 rule, where employees tend to learn 70% of their knowledge. You see the data on job experience, 20% is based on informal learning and 10% from formal learning, right? Therefore, it's very important that workers actually have support when they are working, right? Such that basically older workers can help them to provide insights in informal learning settings or even during on-job working experiences. So this is the areas where the older workers can help in terms of retaining business knowledge and networks, as well as training the next generation of workers, right? Okay. The next point is on returnship, right? The idea of returnship also attracted the most attention because people get, oh, what is this returnship, right? Actually, it's just simply an internship model for older workers who wish to re-enter the workforce or organization. Preceding the idea of returnship, I opine that establishing an alumni program might set the stage for returnship, right? And knowledge sharing. An alumni program basically creates a sense of belonging first among staff, such that it extends the work relationship beyond employment. And this bridge of experience and knowledge resource extends the capability of organizing. So yes, returnships are important, but it will happen better if an alumni program is supported. And these are some of the examples of the top 10 global alumni programs. And this includes 98% of Fortune 500 companies. And some facts like EY filled 17% of their workforce position via the alumni. That means they bring back people, right? And their savings of up to $75,000 on a senior hire who returned to an organization. So these are all examples of how returnships, how global alumni program facilitates returnships, facilitates the return of tacit knowledge back into the organization. What are the big benefits of alumni programs? First, global mentoring, right? Because alumni members are able to contextualize situation and guide mentees on potential pitfall, right? So basically, it shows that you are able to access more resources globally, right? The second benefit of alumni program is that the alumni people are usually supports the employee resource groups, right? Which helps them to pursue common interest backgrounds beyond self-interest. So it creates a positive work environment that can only be beneficial and constructive to the organization. And the last part is business development, which is very critical, right? And which people tend to not see immediately, right? Because with a widely engaged alumni network, right, organizations can actually access broader resources, right, in terms of old and new resources, as well as experienced resources. So in terms of knowing who and what, right, returnships bring in tacit knowledge, also brings in the potential for business development for the organization, right? And the last point that I would like to share, mindful of my time, right, is that is reverse mentoring. So how does this work, right? I think reverse mentoring means that mentoring works both ways, right? Because everyone is not just the old to young, but from the young to the old as well, right? And this is something which I extracted from a Forbes article back in 2018, right? Some examples on how each group can teach the other, right? Some examples like older workers. Older workers can share their lessons learned, right, from their struggles and setbacks of building a career, or regrets that they've had, or how to not make the same mistakes. Older workers can also teach younger workers on how to build relationships, right? So what are the soft skills that help them build relationships that make them successful? About loyalty, that makes others want to invest in your learning and development, and how to manage corporate politics that naturally occurs in an organization. And the last part is the skills to handle conflicts within the workplace, right? Because managing conflict in the workplace is a important thing for anyone within an organization who wants to progress their career, or who wants to be able to make more change within an organization. So these are the two key points we thought: sharing lessons learned and relationship building. Whereas the younger workers, what can they offer back? The reverse mentoring model. One is teaching the older workers on how to collaborate with new technologies, right? And how it enables new things in terms of sharing information, how to facilitate collaboration, co-creating materials. Also on a collaborative mindset, in not being too stuck in one way, right? To help older workers best interact with them, brainstorm and come up with new ideas. Younger workers also tend to be a lot more adaptable because of the nature that they are, right? And it helps the young workers can help the older workers to understand that change is going to happen over and over again. It's inevitable, and therefore the skills that they need to have are shared, and then they grow instead of being stuck in the previous practices, right? And the last part is what younger workers can share with older workers is resilience, right? Because younger workers tend to be more optimistic, and this can be used to inspire the older workers, because they are well, I guess they are full of dreams, and then they're passionate about things. And so reverse mentoring also works within a setting where there are older workers, right? And if all else fails, right, from old to gold, there's an alternative to hiring older workers, but this involves buying services, right? Which agencies like GLG, they have platform for experts with fees. But see, this is another way where tacit knowledge can be bought in that sense. But I would say that there is value in buying such services, but there is also value in having internally some of these abilities, right? So that it actually empowers the organization. It's not just getting their knowledge, but also helping to cultivate better capabilities within an organization, right? And so generally that's my gist on from old to gold on how to optimize value of older workers. If I could summarize a bit more, is really very much about developing mentor roles within an organization, right? Facilitating age diversity within the organization, developing good retention programs through alumni programs, and lastly is to enable reverse mentoring within an organization, right? And that's where basically you can bring together both sets of workers, the older workers as well as the young workers, and so create a more dynamic and more innovative organization going ahead. And with that, thank you very much. I really look forward to hearing more from GO-TKM, and then hope to contribute more to the efforts going ahead.
Thank you, Faiz, for a wonderful sharing. I mean, your sharing really give us the new tips how to help this old to gold. Okay, very good sharing. Thank you very much. And also, I will also congratulate you for your new role in the next.